Perfect. Yeah. So we got a handful of people in here. I think, some new names, that's for sure. That's great.
Yeah, which is great.
Some new action, so on and so
Yeah.
forth. So
Yeah,
have you
which
been
is good.
finding, so I know that you have, hold on, I got some leads that have started to, or some clients that are starting to transact listings and so on. How have you been finding your leads so far that you've been working?
Great
Like, how are
question.
you finding like the responsiveness,
Yep.
the engagement with those leads? Like, what is your take
Yep.
on that so
Yep.
far?
I'm starting to see what we're seeing from our leads coming in. 3-4 weeks ago, they were very quiet. People, were nervous. People weren't getting back to us. But I think with that increase of interest rate is now putting more pressure on people. So I would say in the last week and a half, we've been getting a lot more like clients who are coming in like liking properties. They're asking to book showings. They're asking to get a home assessment. So it's
Mm-hmm.
it's good. Like people are thinking about it and starting to move on things.
Yes.
We're getting people on the phone, but we're finding that depending, everyone's different, right? But we're getting a little bit more success with texts to people right now,
Okay.
but vague texts, right? Like,
Okay.
hey, did you get this? Or hey, did you see this? Or, because they're going to say like, who is this?
Yes.
So that's a great way of just getting it started. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding that people are getting a little bit more receptive, which is great. But they're definitely a little bit more active. I'm seeing a lot of people in the last 30 days plus start coming on. So just making sure I'm reaching out to those people.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So you're noticing like people that haven't been active are
Yes,
starting to become active again.
exactly.
Nice. Nice.
Exactly, which is great, right? And like when I
Mm-hmm.
see that, everyone has different steps, but what I do is I try to call them within that 24 hours,
Yeah.
just see what's going on and kind of go from there, right? Because chances are that no one's really followed up with them. They're probably just peaking again. And also, Crystal was showing me a great way to use the agent locator app. So maybe like we've created templates and all that stuff, and I think in the
Mm-hmm.
future you guys will see some of that stuff from us.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, we're just getting them to download the apps, which is great because people can just go onto the app and just know where they are. They can see anything that's listed or anything that has sold,
Yeah.
just where they are. So imagine you're drive. How many times has this happened to you where you're driving around, or a lead is they're driving around, they see a new sign coming soon or exclusive, they don't know what it is, and instead of having a pen and paper, they just drove by it, they forget. It'd be
Mm-hmm.
nice if you can train them to open the app, look at that property, maybe you like it, and then you can follow up with them there.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of where we're heading right now because
Good.
Agent Locator gives us
Yeah.
a lot of great tools.
Yeah. And I think we've all been there where we've driven by something and then you're trying to either like find the realtor online so you can try to fill up their listings or whatever it is, or open
Right.
up, something, fast that you could be able to locate that property. So it's good that, yeah, it's a great tool to have. And of course, for you guys, you get to see all that action in the back end, right? So you're able to see
Yeah.
what they're looking at and what they're doing through the app as far as listings goes. So,
Yeah.
and
I have something
again,
else.
yeah, go
Sorry.
ahead.
I
Go
was going
ahead.
to say I have something else to share. Usually, like what I
Yeah.
would do on my phone. I don't know if a lot of people um, have this set up so far on their phone, but basically, like I save the desktop and I put it as an agent locator, like saving desktop on your browser for your iPhone, right?
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing in the past. However, I downloaded the app of Agent Locator, which looks like
Yeah.
this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Looks like
That one
that.
there. Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's so much easier to like respond back to text messages and all that. So as soon as I open it, this is essentially what it looks like. So you
Mm-hmm.
already have all your leads right there. And then if someone's texting you, like you can see all your overviews and all you have to do is just click it and you're already there. It brings up the whole lead profile. Oops, sorry, I hit something else. It brings up all the lead profile, right? And then all you can do is just go back to your SMS to text them. And it's like you're texting on your phone compared to if I was going to open it up like this, it's going to load. It's going to load more of a desktop version, right?
Yeah, you got to log in. It's very different. Yeah, the app is definitely encouraged. If you guys haven't downloaded the CRM app, highly encouraged that you do it. You're going to get
Yeah.
push notifications when those leads text you. You click on it, it's going to
Yeah.
automatically open up the window to text them back. What's also great is a lot of you guys will call your leads as soon as they register, as quickly as you can. Now, what we've noticed is a lot of you will do that from your cell phone. So those calls, those actions aren't actually being logged in your system. So what for those people, whether you're using Twilio or not using Twilio, if you go to call a lead from that app, it's going to ask you, do you want to call through the CRM or do you want to call from your cell phone? So even if you don't have Twilio, you're still going to be able to use that app to call your leads. It's going to connect through your phone, but it will log that call. Right. So that's one of the biggest faults that we're finding in individuals that are using their cell phones to make these calls is they're not logging them.
Yeah.
So the app is going to ensure that that call is logged for you. So again, I'm highly encouraged because again, and Nick, you probably know, we track our leads activity left, right, and center. We're watching, we're monitoring what they're doing. The majority of us forget to do the exact same thing for ourselves in our own activities, which is equally as important when you're working a lead, right? We need to be able to track our behaviors and what we've been doing so we know when to do the next step or when to reach out again, or when to follow up. And if we're not logging, we're not tracking, you're going to definitely have those leads through the cracks.
Exactly. And I was like the first one to not track my stuff, especially coming into real estate. I just think that I knew it all and whatever. Like, I don't know if any other newer agents or even someone who is vetted, who's been in the industry for even 5, 10, 15, 20 years plus, sometimes we can get stuck in our ways. And I just think that the more you can put detailed in your lead contact, the better chances you have when it comes to reconnecting with that person again. Because you cannot tell me that you've talked to one person before and you don't talk to them a year ago. There's no way, unless like you have great brain capacity, which is awesome for you. But for most people, they won't remember the phone calls. And it's really important to, when you do reconnect with a lead that's, hasn't been active, or you haven't chatted with them for a very long time, or even 6 months. If you can bring up personal things that you talked to that conversation, they're gonna be like, wow, you remembered. And like right away, when you do stuff like that, that is going to build that relationship so high that like when time comes, you will be called regardless of what's going on. Right. So, which is great. And if you don't have a newsletter, this is a great way to, talk to someone and then send them a monthly newsletter, video or word, whatever way you want to do it, but something to stay in contact. And that's really what it is.
Yeah, it is. Or, and even again, for some of you, you will have access to sold data, right? So again, a lot of these individuals are not planning a move right away. We all know that. These are your future pipelines. Is many of them are homeowners, right? So they may not be looking at active listings as often because maybe they are a year or two out from making a move. So they're not as active on the new listings. But if they own their home and they start getting sold listings sent to them, those I find as a homeowner, we're always interested to see what the neighbor's house is selling for, right? So that's another way for those leads that are further out in the process to keep them engaged is through those sold listings. So if you guys have that, by all means do it. If you don't have, like, we can't do it unless the board gives us the feed. So if you have a feed through us and you don't have sold listings, it's not because we don't want to give it to you, it's because the board does not give us access to that data.
Yeah. Annoying.
So some of you do, though, have the ability to do that through your own individual MLS, right? So, and you can tag them in your system, letting yourself know, hey, I'm going to set them up on this system instead. So at least your name keeps coming across their inbox as information that's valuable to them. Even if it's not coming for this one thing, it's not coming through the system, might not track it the same way. It depends on your system you're using. But at least you're giving them something of value in addition to, where they want to be. It's currently, this is where you're at, where you currently are and what the prices are doing.
For sure. So I think those are great tidbits, Crystal, because you know your system the best and you like make us all productive. But before I go into like even more of the, other things that we're chatting about, does anyone have any questions or anything that they may struggle with when they're contacting a lead, or maybe they see a lead active and they're not like getting back to you, like anything at all? Because I'm here for you guys. Sometimes I do the live dialing, but sometimes I feel like more of the coaching is good too, because like live dialing is great, but I think scripting is super important too. So, these are what's going to help you get to the next level.
We do have a question in the Q&A. It says, hey, Nick, can you show us what do you say to the prospective buyer when you meet them the first time? We know we ask the location, the bed price, the bath price, mortgage approval, finance, and these are all things that get asked on the phone too. But how do you present yourself when you meet them? What do you ask? What points? How do you make repo like so they don't feel that the meeting was a waste of time, as these things could be asked over the phone? Right. So you're asking, so this is, I'm imagining you're asking to meet somebody for a buyer consult. Obviously, yes, a lot of this stuff could be answered over the phone. So what are you doing a little bit differently in these meetings to ensure that it's not wasting their time, that they feel like they're walking away with something?
Yeah, two things. Number one is if you're doing a buyer consult, you know, that initial like meeting is really just an interview, right?
Mhm.
And it's an interview to make sure that they're a good fit with you and you're a good fit with them. Because I know at the end of the day we love to do deals, but you know, we can't, like, I can handle crazy, but I can't handle crazy. You know what I mean? And like it's super hard. And like also too, I've done so many transactions that when you don't have someone on the same page as you, yes, you're representing them, but like it makes the deal so painful. And sometimes, honestly, peace of mind and like quality of life to me is more worth it than the money, right? So, a few things here. So when you first meet someone, it's more so of like getting a vibe. It's you know, introducing them, you know, getting to know them a little bit more. Like when I deal with someone for a buyer consult, let's say, when they come to our office or if we go for coffee, like I'm not talking about real estate for the first 10-15 minutes. I'm literally just saying, hey, breaking the ice, trying to get to know them, find out what's important to them, what are their interests. And then once you have that base, then I go, okay, perfect. Let's get right into the real estate because I know that's what you came here for. So obviously, after asking all the basic questions like what you're looking for, area, whatever, these like buyers are looking for someone who can guide them to take care of them. So in these things, after you get the relationship set up, then basically you're saying, okay, so I understand that you're looking, you know, you're a first time buyer, you're pre-approved for 700, which is a great number in this market. You're open to attached semis and detached, but what we're seeing right now is a flux of like in Durham region, we're seeing that detached houses are down by 11% and everything else is down by 4 to 7. So right now is a really good time for you to possibly get something with sweat equity, get a detached house and put your mark on it if that's something you want to do. Or maybe you want to move into a move-in ready semi with more space or attached house and maybe keep it as a rental in the future. Buyers in these buyers consult want to A, understand who you are, B, they want to feel trusted, and they also want to know that you have their best interest and will be making money for them in the future. That is what this buyer consult is. So, you know, after you go through all that, you're just making sure, okay, great, we understand what you're looking for. So, you know, let me ask you a question. Are you pre-approved? No? Okay, well, we have people at all major banks, which we recommend you starting there first. Or if you don't want to do that, you can skip the line and work with a mortgage broker who gives you all the options and you don't do the running around, right? So you just kind of go from there. If by the end of that hour consult, usually those consults are not an hour for us. They're about an hour and a half, 2 hours, because you really get to know someone, you're building relationships, making jokes, all that other stuff. After that, basically, like no one should feel like that meeting is a waste of time. If it feels like a waste of time, it's because you were not prepared. But it's also hard too when you're meeting someone and they're not really open. And if they're not open and giving you information, you got to stop telling, which is you talking. You need to start opening them up and throwing open-ended questions and then start asking about. I find that when someone doesn't open up to me, what I do is I start asking about what they want, because everyone will tell us what they want. You know what I mean? So like, okay, so, you know, just to get a better understanding, how would this work? Like, are you looking for a 3-bedroom home or do you need something more? Tell me a little bit more about your family. Tell me a little bit more about your lifestyle. Tell me a little bit more of what's important to you. Tell me what's important to you in your quality of life. What makes you happy in the morning? What is your routine? Like, you know, like you got to dive deep. You can't be surface level. If you're surface level, you're transactional. No, there's nothing wrong with that, but you're not going to get the repeat business and the trust if someone is taking the time and getting to know you. Just think about it. If you go to a store, getting a car, or cell phone, whatever, if someone is nice and cold, or just say, okay, yes, here's your phone, here's your package, done. Or someone that you literally, like, as they're doing the deal, you're getting to know them. You get to know what they're doing, what they're into, and all that stuff. And usually
Hmm.
those people save you money,
They
right? Because
do.
they like
Yeah.
you and stuff, right?
Well, it's like
So
back in the day when the clothing stores, they used to be commission based, right? They used to get commission if they helped you find stuff. So in that, and they took that away. But in that time, and anyone here that was around when that was a thing, you never really trusted what the other person was telling you as to what you were thinking about buying. They're like, "Oh yeah, that dress looks wonderful on you," and you're like, "No, it does not." Right? They just wanted to make the sale. They didn't care. They didn't listen. They didn't, engage with you and making sure that you felt good about what you were purchasing. They made it all about what they were going to gain from you purchasing that.
right, exactly. So like
Mm-hmm.
to go back to this question is like, so if you're just showing up, just like buying them coffee and for the buyer consult, and that is not prepared, just letting you
Mm-hmm.
know. And that's like 80% of the realtors that would do that appointment. What we are doing differently, being in the top 50 in Canada, like in Durham region, sorry. Basically what we're doing is, okay, so if they've come onto Agent Locator, I already have an idea of their criteria. Maybe I've already talked to them obviously once if I'm booking a consult with them, right? So I know what they're looking for. So when I go to that appointment, I'm bringing the last 2 or 3 market stats, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the
Mm-hmm.
areas that they're looking for to show them like the numbers, right? Because people, like you were saying, Crystal, sometimes you don't trust them. But like,
Mm-hmm.
and then I go, I can't forge these documents. Like I'm not
Yeah.
that good at Photoshop. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, exactly.
and then I'm also showing them listings that are best value that I like, that I would handpick for
Mm-hmm.
them. And then I
Mm-hmm.
would show them what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a waste of time for anyone that is looking to purchase or buying real estate. But if you just show up and not prepared and not even asking questions, yes, 100% that's a waste of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then do you take so a lot of us will tell everyone about our lifestyle and the things we like, what's important to us, and then let's say what they're actually looking for clashes with that.
Right.
Do you bring that up? So if let's say somebody's like,
100%.
oh, I really like going on nature walks and da 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 da, and then they're looking to live in this place, this high density area where there is no parks close by or anything like that. Is that something that you bring up to help you gain the trust with that individual? It's like, well, this is a really great neighborhood. However, based on what you told me about, your daily activities and what you enjoy doing, I don't feel like this neighborhood's a good fit because none of that is anywhere near. You can't, there's not walking distance for you to go do and engage in any of those
Right.
activities.
Right.
Do you tend to, take
I
that
challenge.
information
Yeah.
and then, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So essentially, Crystal, I challenge them. I'm really good.
Mm-hmm.
So the type of person that I am personally is like, I'm very like straight to the point, and I just like if something doesn't make sense to me, I say it. I'm not like, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, okay, great, that's awesome. Like no, especially now, like when we're looking for a product, like on the professional end, as a professional, our job is to find a solution for them, find the problem and find the solution. So if someone has told me exactly what you're saying, I like trails, but like this is where I want to be in a high density area, or they show me a listing there, I will remind them, well, hey, you told me that you were looking for something with trails, something not too density from people. I mean, are you only looking there because something has changed in your criteria? Has work changed? Are you working down there now? And is that
Mm-hmm.
what it is? Because if that's the case, I'll find you the best kind of secluded area near trails to whatever that we can get in our budget. So this can help you out. But if that's not the case, then I think that I'll send you a handpicked list of other homes that I think is a better fit in your value. And
Mm-hmm.
I personally think that you should go see both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. A lot of real estate agents will not want to do that. They're going to be like, why am I going to waste my time? But we have to remember, as a buyer, they need to see it. Like I see properties every day. I know what it is, but you have to take the time and patience to educate them and let them go through the motions. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just what it is.
Yes.
And if you're not doing that, they're not comfortable with you and you're losing the sale. And someone
Mm-hmm.
else like myself is going to grab it.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan here is asking us, is there a way to set up pipelines, like creating calling lists for everyday follow-up? I'm going to answer that. Yes, there is.
Yeah.
It's likely already in your system. It's just learning and understanding it.
Yeah.
And then how do you actually set up those like calling lists for yourself? So how do you remind yourself to do those follow-ups and what have you for those people that perhaps you've engaged in or even not. We all everyone should have their call list in there, their filters. A lot of you all don't use them. Okay, but they are there. Once you learn them and understand them, it makes a world of a difference in your organizational levels. But it's just utilizing them. But Nick, what's your structure in the system as to, making sure that you're following up with individuals after a conversation or to try to engage in an initial conversation?
Yeah, for sure. So I think, Crystal, you're the best for this, because when I first came into Agent Locator, Crystal was the first one to tell me, like, Nick, you're doing things so hard that you don't even need to do, because there's things already set up for you. Right. And then me being like an Italian, I just like to be stuck in my ways. But no, after I actually took time to sit down with Crystal, she showed me so many great ways that Agent Locator is already making you efficient without even you knowing it. And then she can also assess you and help create other filters and showcase how you can do that. So later on, you can do it yourself and build the best pipeline system for your team, right? So to answer that question is, what I do is I go through. I'll tell you like the system that I do, how I make my calls, and then I'll tell you what I'll do after that. So for myself, like if today's a calling day, I'm going through the new leads first, right? The new leads that haven't been contacted. After that, if you actually go to after that, what I'll do is I will go to see who's been active on the website. So newest first. So if they were on a minute to 2 days ago, it will show up who's been active first. And then after that, I'll go into like my applied safe filters on the top on Agent Locator. And then I'll go to like my number 2, which is like need to contact. So these are people that, maybe the e-campaign are going out, but there hasn't been any like response back. So it's just prompting us to call. Like, what you want to do is you want to just click these filters. So you already have a call sheet in front of you. So you're not just wasting that 10, 15 minutes of finding out who you want to call and also losing that motivation of calling. Right?
Yeah. That's
But how would you
consistency
do
with
it?
those. Well, it's the same thing, right? So again, you have your number 1 and number 2. Those are your new leads. In the number 1 and number 2 filter that you're going to see under your guys' company filters in there. So those are people that you need to keep calling to get them on the phone.
Right.
It's just being consistent with those calls. You do have your number 3 or for people that you've made contact with, right? But we haven't yet perhaps put them into any kind of follow-up filter to know, based on that conversation, how often should we be following up with this person based on what they told us about their timeline and expectations. And then it's really just tagging, because you guys will see in that company filter list your 1-week check-ins, 2-week check-ins, monthly check-ins, quarterly check-ins, 6-month check-ins. And it really just becomes a habit. At the end of the day, is you're having a conversation, you tag your lead, they go into the appropriate follow-up filter. It's just a matter of then going through each one of your filters every day. And again, if any of you guys have had training, your trainer can definitely show you these tools. They know how those filters work and can guide you on that. Again, if you guys do, feel more comfortable, I would be happy to show you. I love jumping in systems that are kind of messy. We do it progressively. I don't go after everything all at once. You get homework, you get a little bit of accountability there. You got to do this, and then we start going into your follow-up actions. Because a lot of individuals out there, you guys are jumping into your system. I don't know who to call. You're just creating a random sort order or whatever it is, and guaranteed you have leads slipping through the cracks. Right? Because a lot of us will feel more comfortable just calling people that are active, right? Very recently. Some of your oldest leads and some of the ones that aren't necessarily active still have intentions of buying, right? It's just getting comfortable on the phone and getting them there. And again, if they stopped engaging in listings, those emails could very well be going into their spam. Maybe not all of the emails, but some of them definitely will go in there, because Google likes to take initiative to say, hey, I don't think you want to see this every day, and moves it over. So definitely some leads are still getting listings. They just might not be aware of it. Right. But definitely in the beginning, they are, they're all going into their inbox. But it's just really utilizing your filters. They're there. And if you're clearing your filters out every day, you're going to be super organized in your system.
Gotta love the dogs.
My ring went off.
That's so funny.
There's probably not even anyone at my door, which is the crazy part.
funny.
So yeah, it's just using your filters really is really what it comes down to, and having a better understanding of how those filters work. And you guys, you'll be amazed at how great that can work for you.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So I see the next question about like invalid emails and what should you write
Phone
to
number.
get them engaged? Oh,
So phone
number. Sorry.
number, yes. So they have a bad phone number, good email, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So
So
what I do is like in those moments, I always think about what would get me to respond to an email, right? Like this is a question that really has helped me elevate our scripts. Like this is not a time to be a robot, it's time to figure it out. And I feel like if you write a simple email with no context, or not really taking time for an email, you're not going to get a response. But if you like keep giving value in every single email, maybe if it's like, hey, a search criteria, hey, you're, thanks for coming on the website. I see that you're looking, but haven't really we haven't really made contact. Can you tell me about what you're looking for? Like, can you tell, like, you want to try to make it personal, or you want to be like, hey, like maybe have like a good hook where it's like, hey, did you see ... And then you say like, hey, did you see the great discounts that the market has to offer? I can send you a handpicked list of homes that are available with great deals. Like, like you need to just like entice people. Like,
you can.
That's just what it is.
And then if you guys do have Twilio, really, there's two things that you guys can do. Is mark the phone number as invalid. That person, naturally, when they come back to the website, the system is going to request or require that they give you a valid phone number in order to access those listings, which is a great feature because a lot of people will provide you with a better phone number.
Yep.
But you also have access to the bad number campaign. Right. So with those people with the bad numbers, you can put them on the bad number campaign. And that's a series, I think it's 7 emails over the course of 2 or 3 weeks that go out that are really kind of soft touches to try to get that person to provide you with a phone number or provide you with some more information. So at least to respond to you through an email. Right. So not everyone does. You win some, you lose some. But really, we have to utilize what information we've been provided and use it to our advantage. Right. We can't dwell on the information we don't have, but, take advantage of what we do have and use it. Right. You could even,
Right.
go in and handpick listings. Right. Or notice that they looked at a certain listing and send it back to them to try to get them to engage in that information.
Right. So I have a question for everyone here. Like, how many deals have you guys closed in Agent Locator so far this year? Because that would, I think that will help me kind of help you a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think for us, we're about right now. Right now, we have one on the one that we're taking today on the market. That one was an Agent Locator lead. So, let me see.
So the person has 3 to 4 deals.
Good.
Yeah. Again, for those individuals that are new, or the average conversion time of a lead is, 6 to 24 months. Let's face it, right? We get the idea of making a move, and we do our research. We start looking. I look at listings all the time. If I was in your dashboard, you guys would hate me. Okay. Some of us just like looking at properties, right? I would like to move, and then they kind of get that thing, but nothing's naturally like pushing me to take that next step, right? So,
right.
And then you got to remember when a lead comes into your system to look at listings, we don't know why they did that, right? Don't think that every lead that comes into your system is actually going to buy something in the near future, because they could have just been, and this was on a discussion with Beverly last week. They could have just been driving by an old childhood home, saw that it was for sale, and wanted to see, they just want to look at the pictures to see how it's changed on the inside versus when they lived there, right? There's so many different reasons as to why people would look at real estate. But again, it's building connections with those individuals that are popping into your system. So you know how to follow up with them. And you never know where your next referral is coming from, right? This person may not be planning to move, but you may be just so great and they feel comfortable. You provided them information and value. And then their friend just happens to be looking or thinking about making a move, and boom, you got a referral from that person.
Because I think we are at 18 this year so far. So we'll probably do a little bit more. So just to show that it does work, right? Because like a lot of, I know a lot of people just, just give up after a little bit, right? But like, just like Crystal saying, like it takes 3 to 18 months, and like you want, like the longer that lead has come in for, like even 3 months plus, a lot of agent, your competition stops because no one's following up that long, right? And the only ones that are the ones that built a relationship.
Yeah. And to be quite honest, when I jump into the average system of someone saying, I can't, it's not working, and whatever it is, I can't seem to find anything. The average lead, the average system I jump into, calls are not being logged. Okay. Or if there is log calls, it's like maybe 1 or 2 calls on each lead. That's it.
Yeah.
So you are doing what the average realtor is doing. You want to be better than average, right? Keep calling your leads. Like, just if you're consistent in there, use your dialer. There's efficient ways to do it, but if you can dedicate yourself to 30 minutes to 90 minutes a day, whatever it is, 1 call is better than no calls. And just hammer out your calls and have those conversations, or jump in there until you have, I'm going to call today until I have at least 5 conversations. However many leads it takes for me to get there, that's what my goal is for today. And then challenge yourself. Yesterday I did 5 conversations. Today I'm going to do 6. Right. So, and you get more excited, as Nick, you probably know, you get more excited the more conversations you have, because you get 100%. Off the phone with some of them and you're like, yes, this is a good one. I know this is going somewhere. Right. So it's just doing that. And that's what I find is just the lack of activity in your systems as far as your side of, the action. And then again, not logging everything. So you don't know when you last actioned. And so you have leads slipping through the cracks.
Right, for sure. And like I don't think, I mean, like obviously the budget helps a little bit, but I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how big your budget is. I remember I started at 500 for the longest time. And I was still closing deals at that time. And I think the difference is like consistently following up. Like I pride myself, when I first got into the real estate business, is that I noticed a lot of people stop following up. So I just learned to keep following up. Like, for example, I have people where I have, like, even on my personal phone where I text them for my number, I have like 20 straight up scrolls, like 20 scrolls, no replies. And then that one time they get back to you, and then it happens. And then all of that is worth it. I think what you guys should do is any lead that is close, like I think you guys, depending if you're motivated by seeing, dollar signs, maybe put like, in Keller Williams, I have like it already generates it for you. So you see it in front of your face, but maybe put a note saying, this is like 20 grand. This is 25 grand, because then I think you'll see the value of like, okay, like, I don't care if I feel embarrassed. I don't care if I feel emotionally like not ready to call, I'm calling. And I think, Crystal has it the right way. A lot of people only do like 1 to 5 contacts, a day, for real estate. What my team and our standard is we're doing about 20 plus a day conversations. So I don't care how long it takes my team members or even myself to get there, figure it out, like sit there and call. Remember, guys, like our job is literally, if you're not doing contracts and you're not busy, you have no excuse why you cannot sit down and work your system. No,
absolutely.
reason.
There's no reason.
If you want to get busy, lead gen for 20 hours for the next 4 days straight. That's it. Right. And
it doesn't have to be always at the same time. So you don't say, I got to block 2 hours. You can do, if you have 30 minutes this morning, do it 30 minutes this morning. Maybe you have a 15-minute window after lunch, do it those 15 minutes. Then maybe in the evening, you're like, hey, I got about an hour here. I'm going to pop in and do it. It doesn't have to be all at the same time. It's just making sure you're jumping in at least once a day and calling your leads and making sure you're logging that information.
So I think Sutherland Sen, sorry if I mispronounced it, But
Yeah.
been with Agent Locator since 2019. I think my closing ratio is very low. Why do you think it's low? Like what
So I
have
think he
like
had 3 to 4 deals, is what he's basing it off of. Average conversion, you guys, if you are actually doing stuff, is anywhere between 1 and 2%, probably more than 1 and 1.5%, and that's just kind of doing what you should be doing,
exactly?
and maybe not even to the fullest extent, right? Just
No.
it depends, right? Now, if you're in there and you're consistent in there and making sure you're logging everything and you're using filters and you're staying on top of every lead in your database, you're going to close a lot higher ratio,
Yep.
than a 1.5%. So
Yep. Yep.
it's
And also too, the more you're working, the better that you're going to be scripted, getting the social cues, knowing how to, deal with objections in the right way and still get your lead motivated.
mm-hmm.
You should be like, just like one of my new team members, it'll take them 100 calls to get 1 or 2 solid leads because they're not ready for it. But then as they make their calls and as their skill gets better and as they put more practice and time into the art, like, like now for me, I only need to call maybe 10 numbers and I'll probably get, as long as I get 10 people on the phone, I'll probably get 8 of them. And
Yeah.
they'll be like locked in with relationship and it'd be like, I got them. Because sometimes I've had calls where I've even messed up myself with the follow up, and they still reach out to me in 6 months saying, "Hey, I found a property ready to go,"
Yeah.
and that's just because of relationship and you dive deep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think like seeing that, I just don't think that you're maybe practicing your art as much. I think that you need to just do more calls, and if
Mm-hmm.
you need more leads, then unfortunately, we all know that real estate is a pay to play sport. You want more leads, you want to get a little bit more busier, spend the money and invest in yourself. That's it.
Yep. And I'm just kind of going through and trying to see.
Sorry.
No worries.
Is there any objections that you guys are getting that you're not really able to get past? I can get past through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I can even role play it. It's all good. But, I think while you guys are making that up, I think what we're getting is more so of we're going to wait because interest is going up and, we think the market's going to crash. I mean, I'm getting that too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think at that point, understanding something like that, there's a few ways to dissect it. Number one, you need to know, like, okay, where are they in life? Are they a first time buyer? Because if they're a first time buyer, like they need to buy still. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Number two is if they're a seller and they need to buy, and if they're a seller that doesn't have motivation to move, meaning like they don't have a real reason, like it's not work, it's not lifestyle, it's just because I want to have bigger space. I find that the bigger spaces, this point, there's no reason to do that. Like, not saying no reason, but it's a little bit uphill battle, I find, because they're going to just tell you they're going to sit and wait for the right property, right?
Yeah.
So generally, this is what I'd be saying. Okay, so hey, Crystal, I totally understand that with interest rates rising, you may feel that prices are going to keep going down and we're going to go back to $1 houses. Like that's not happening. Just to give you a little bit more stats, and this is where you need to know your stats. In Durham region, January, the average price in Durham region was 1.2. Now it's about low 900s. This is a great time. This price point is this time last year, April. So you just basically went back in time to get really great prices. Yes, you're paying a little bit more to interest, but remember, interest is just a short-term pain for a long-term gain, right? And a long-term gain is that we understand that when interest goes back low, prices will come back high, right? And also I remind them like, hey, Crystal, let me ask you a question. Did you feel more comfortable purchasing in a market where you only had 2 options and you had to go 300K over asking and being scared to even be qualified for that? Or would you be more comfortable purchasing in something? Yes, you pay a little bit more monthly, but now you have the option to shop around. You have the option to negotiate in price. You have the option to put in conditions. Right? Like huge, right? And as a first time buyer, as you were telling me, let's say, right? This is the perfect market for you to get into and be comfortable in. Right. So let me ask you a question. What is most important to you? Kind of getting a house when you need it, rushing and maybe not making the best decisions, or taking your time, making sure your building blocks are set up so you can have a successful purchase. Which one would you like to do? You know what I mean? Like that's
Hmm.
the difference already of how I'm dissecting it and making it like dissecting the bomb and kind of going the other way. Or let's do it
Yeah.
this way. Hey, Crystal, I understand that you have a
Hmm.
house to sell. I understand that you're just kind of looking for the right opportunity for you. You're worried about the interest rates, but for you, just keep in mind, it sounds like you have a great product. You have a detached house, let's say. You have a detached house. Remember, those are the high stocks and they're going down, right? So yes, you don't have a timeline, but the market is kind of pressuring you for a timeline. So in the meantime, I'll keep you up to date by, I'll send you the link. I'll the link, which is basically attached to my website. So anytime that you have a sold listing or listings in the area you want to see, you just open up the app, you're right there. That's a
Yeah.
great script to get into the app, which is great.
Yeah.
If you're not comfortable with that, this is a great opportunity to put you on a tool that we have called the Nosy Neighbor. Let's be real, we're all
Hmm.
nosy neighbors. And I start
Hmm.
laughing, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm a real estate agent. And even if I wasn't a real estate agent, if I saw a sign across the lawn, guess what I'm Googling, right?
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is a great way of doing this. So all I
Yeah.
just need is your address. Put them on. Do you
Hmm.
want a daily, weekly, or monthly? Because you want to respect them. Weekly, no problem. Now, hey guys,
Hmm.
guess what? You have a seller lead. So it's
Yeah.
just like the way of like objection scripting and how to make them
It's
confident.
well, and it really, at the end of the day, especially when it comes to mortgages and what have you, the bottom line is the monthly payment,
Yeah,
right? It's what the monthly payment is. It's we all get focused on what the interest rate is, which it's almost like it's just pushed into our faces. But really, at the end of the day, what's the most important factor is the monthly rate. So there is, I'm going to post in here, I do have a document, which is specifically around this. And
okay,
it was in
perfect.
one of the mortgage, actually it was in one of the real estate groups on Facebook, and this guy is how he handled it. So if the rates are going up, great, lock in now, you got to bet a lower rate, right? If the rates go down, you have the option of refinancing, right? Unless you plan on flipping your home, if the values of the homes are going down, that's not of any concern, because the average person is going to live in their house for 3, 5, 10 years anyway. So it's not even going to impact them at that point, right? So there's a lot of different, and this is a great, I just kind of took it all and what he would say to people. So it's a great kind of little tool for you guys to kind of refer to when you do have questions, because again, that is a concern right now for a lot of individuals with respect to mortgage rates and what have you. But as Nick says, it's a teeter-totter, right? So it's either one or the other. One's always going to be higher than the other, and it's just a matter of purchase price or interest rate.
Exactly. And also, like, this is a great time to like get buyers or even sellers to hopefully get them to build that relationship on that call. Maybe in the next call, invite them for coffee and maybe explain, or maybe even bring one of your mortgage advisors that you're work closely with. Be like, hey, you know what,
Mm-hmm.
Crystal? I know we had such a great conversation last time. I know you have so many questions. Would you be open to just having coffee with me so I can just go through it? I know we could do this over the phone, but at least now you can put the face to the name and really get a sense of like who I am as a person. And on top of
Mm-hmm.
that, I'll also have my mortgage advisor, because I'm coming with him from another appointment. He'll also be there just to kind of give you some info. Remember, this is just you're just in the information stage. I understand I'm not giving you pressure. However, if I was in your scenario, I would want information and I would want
Mm-hmm.
the right information.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
and that's more powerful, right? Like the way that I'm saying these scripts and the confidence that I'm saying it because I want to take care of you and I don't want another like, bad agent to like ruin that experience for you and put you in a bad scenario. Because right now, if you're not purchasing correctly and you skip steps, sorry, it, things will happen. Like things
Mm-hmm.
will happen, especially in this market. Everyone loves it when it's riding up, but when it's coming down or like kind of going like this right now, this is a very important time to do your diligent work and make sure everything lines up as much as possible for your client. Because remember, a lot of people are on fixed incomes. If it's a little bit more money, everything else is going up from with spending. But if it costs them a little bit of money, they might not be able to afford it. They might not be able to close. Like
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
don't want that problem.
No, no, it's you're very hands-on when the interest rates are, especially if they're expected to go up, right? So every
Right.
time it goes up, you've got to reevaluate again to see what they're now qualified for.
Right.
Um, at the time of, yeah, so it can be definitely tricky. But on the bright side of here, I do see a lot of people, I'd like to kind of applaud those that have actually found deals in here. Some, may not be as much as you anticipate or hope for, but it's success at any level, right? You've worked your database, you've got some deals. If you feel like you haven't got, or there's some of you that haven't got deals, or not as much as they would like to have, sometimes we have to look at ourselves and say, is there anything I could be doing differently to make this number go up? And I'm going to say 9.9 times out of 10, yes, there's definitely more that can be done to get that number to go up. Because even when like Siddharth, I just opened up your system just to quickly take a look, just to give comparison of all the leads that you have actually spoke to in your system. So their pipeline is on made contact or further through. You're at a 4%, or so not 4%, you're at a 1% conversion rate. So all the other leads in your system, you haven't even made contact with them yet. So that's your goal. Is now we have to get through. There's a lot more, and I know we have a meeting later today. But there's a lot of opportunity that's sitting in there that hasn't even been touched yet.
Right.
And it hasn't even been touched. So you'll see more coming the more productive you are in your system.
Right. And I think that a lot of people have to remember, a lot of agents, these are not leads that are here to message you, right? These are leads that are coming into your store, right? Your online store, and looking at properties, looking at stuff like that. It is not their job to reach out to you. It's your job to reach out to them. And that is non-negotiable. Like that is non-negotiable. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
Right.
You're working for them. They're not working for you.
Right. And if you're scared, dial the phone. If you're nervous, dial the phone. Like the more that you do these calls, the more that you mess up, the more that you may look like an idiot, the better you will be because you are practicing. You cannot tell me when like you first started playing a sport or picking up a hobby, you were like, great, you put time, you enjoyed it, right? You didn't like it at first, right? So like these are all the same things that you're going to go through like this.
Yeah.
So and I think it's like making sure that you reach out to people. Like that's it. Call, text, email. Like I think everyone should try to follow like 20 contacts a day. It's hard. It's stressful. You're going to go through the up and downs. But I mean, like if you are not busy right now, like remember in the last market, you probably could talk to 10 people and get something out of that, right? Now you might have to talk to like 30 to 40 people just to get the one that's ready. So you have to know that you have to keep touching base with people. And remember, if people are not ready yet, that's fine. As long as you build the relationship, you're pocketing them for the next year, right? And next thing you know, you start planting all these seeds. Next thing you know, you're doing 20 deals because you built relationships and they're ready to go because everyone's timeline is different. 3 to 18 months, 3 to 18 months. That's all you have to think about. Remember, real estate is not an instant gratification. If you wanted that, be a social media influencer.
And really, as like Nick said, like nail on the head, it's or hammer, whatever it is, whatever that saying is, it's relationships. Like we have to stop thinking transactional when you're working with these leads. You need to build relationships, engage, right? It's like this whole lead list that you have. Think of it as like a cocktail party. You've got to go mingle with each one of them and kind of start a rapport and be friendly. Be yourself. Relax when you're on those calls. You're going to find that people are going to be a lot more responsive to you being your natural self than you being who you think they want you to be. Right. And then you'll be able to pick and choose as well. Okay, this person is not the type of person that I would want to work with. Or some of them you just like hit it right off, right? You're laughing, you're joking about, things outside of real estate, talk about things outside of real estate. Don't always make it just business calls. Right. We want to open that person up and build and get them comfortable on the phone so that when you are following up or reaching out to them, it's actually like they want to talk to you.
Yep.
Right. They're not feeling a pressure. You're just checking in and make sure things are good, but they're not feeling any kind of sales pressure from you. And that's what you want to go with, because that's where they're going to start asking questions because they know that you're always acting in their best interest. You're not there to just make a sale.
Yeah, exactly. And remember, transactional is only there for convenience, right? Like it's going to be hard once you have 200 leads to always be conveniently available to them, right? You need to like build a relationship, go deep, and then it will be easier. But that's kind of what it is. I'm just saying, Gabe, when's the best time to call leads? Honestly, there's no best time, just call. I think what you should be doing, anyone like, this is what I do. Like I have at least 3-4 days where I am calling my agent locator leads and like, taking the 2-hour time block. And then as that time goes, if you feel like, you call Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the morning, you're not really getting that much, maybe call Friday in the afternoon, right? But like most importantly, before you start flip-flopping like that, just get a system and a schedule down first before you start saying, oh, this is not the right time. Like there is no right time. The right time is calling, and the right time is that person picking up right time. You just got to call. Like people need your help. People now more than ever need information and to feel safe. A lot of people don't feel safe right now, right? And if you are not giving them that blanket or maybe adding more trauma, you're not getting it. You're not getting anything.
And really, if you guys look at your system, as to the timestamp of your leads registering, they all register at all different times of the day, right? So that's also kind of like, there is no best time because we all run on different schedules.
Exactly.
Right? We all don't work 9 to 5. Some of us work 2 to 10, or we work graveyards, or we work shift work here, there, and everywhere. So there is no best time to call. And so the timestamps of the lead registering is that clear indication that, we have leads registering at 1 in the afternoon, 7 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, midnight. Like they're all over the place, right? Yep. So it's kind of aligning that. And if you are going to schedule yourself, kind of switch it up. So like one day you're doing morning, next day you're doing afternoons, maybe next day you're doing evening, then kind of back in the mornings. That way you're aligning yourself with everyone's schedule, potentially, right? Because if you're always calling at the same time every single day, there's going to be a good chunk of leads in there that are willing to have conversations with you. You just keep calling at a time that they're never available. True. Right? So switching up those calls, and you're going to get more people answering.
Yep. It's so true. And like, that's just kind of what it is. It's just more self-motivation, to be honest with you. And it's just like, you just got to do it, right? Like, remember, there's so many lead gens, there's so many ways to make money in this business. No way is perfect. In every lead gen, there's always one part that you're not going to like about it. And I think what we all need to do is learn to love the parts we hate. So everything is easier.
Yes, absolutely. Brutus says that the best time for him is between 4 to 6, which is basically commute time for a lot of people. So they're stuck in the car, they answer it.
Yes. So like, just like what we're getting said here, like, just, he found the time between 4 to 6 p.m. I think texting, if they're active, that's a great strategy. You know what I mean? And just kind of see what happens from there. But just be active. Just like when you start seeing things, you got to start like, stirring your database. You got to like make things happen. You can't just like let people sit and figure it out, because remember, they're not going to your website. They're going to like 5 or 10. And like, if they're coming to our website and you're not following up, we're taking that person. And like, I'm one of your competition, and if you're not in my marketplace, that's fine. But there's someone like me or more people like me in your marketplace. So, and that's basically it. Like, I think that's basically it. I think it's scripting that just people need to brush on, and objection handling. Yeah.
And then there's a couple here. So just with respect to budget and what have you, yes, budget, the more leads you get, obviously the more opportunities you have to convert, right? So that does play an impact 100%. As we start to go into like even this time of year, a lot of you guys are preparing for your new year, right? So your action plans for 2023. But what we'll also notice probably come the beginning of December, around the holiday season, a lot of people actually slow down their campaigns, which is an advantage to you. Right. If you know everyone's kind of dropping their budgets, you want to be increasing yours, you're going to then take on more leads. There's so many positive factors of doing that, because the leads that are registering right now are your leads for 3, 6, 9 months. So those are, a lot of them are your 2023 buyers that are coming in right now. You will notice a drop in generally leads in December, just because We've got a
Yeah.
whole bunch of other things that are occupying our brains. It's not on the forefront for a lot of individuals. What happens at that point is your Google budget probably isn't completely being spent at that point. So it's not that your cost per lead is significantly high. It's just your ads not getting clicked as much as would be come like as we start to head into January, beginning of February. Then you're gonna go. But anyone that turns off their campaigns right now, it's not advised. If budget is a thing, just drop your budget. Like, don't shut your campaigns off because the algorithms are in place. It's already got its momentum going. So if you turn it off, you got to start the momentum all over again, and it might not get back to where it previously was. Whereas if you need to, for whatever reason, drop it, just lower the amount you're spending, like even $50 a month on Google, even 25. You're not going to get any leads, most likely, or maybe one. But it keeps that campaign active. So then when you're ready to throw money at it, it's already got all the algorithms in place, and now it's just going to, keep on going, and you're ahead of the competition of everyone that did turn it off.
Yep, exactly. So just regarding newsletter, just to show you how our newsletter is, just to give you guys a little bit more. Sorry, I'm just going to check my email quick. Sorry, guys. Just going to open this up here.
Nick, while you're doing that,
doing
that, we just have a question about if you're talking to a lead that said he just rented and postponed buying. What would you say to a lead like that, or what would you offer them?
Rented. Okay, so say it again.
Let's say they were gonna buy or had intentions of buying, but instead they just rented again and postponed buying for the time being. Okay. What would you say?
So can we just role play? Because I think it'll be easier if I can just role play with you, Crystal.
Sure.
Okay, so hey, Crystal, I understand that you're choosing to rent again, but if you don't mind me asking, how come you made that decision? Is it just because you haven't found the right inventory? Are you nervous about interest rates, or do you feel that you're secure in a rental?
I was pressed for time, and I didn't really have enough time to go through the proper steps that I felt comfortable making this purchase.
Yeah. Okay, I totally understand. Let me ask you a question. If you were able to have the right people and the right, guidance, and to make that process easier for you, would you be open to looking at that experience again?
Oh, absolutely. My goal is to essentially purchase a home. I just want to be comfortable in making the decisions, not being, pressured with time.
For sure. So let me ask you a question. In a perfect world, what would be, the type of home that you would want to go into next? Are you looking at attached, detached? I mean, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom minimum. Like, what are you thinking?
The main part for me right now is bedroom and price. So I would need at least 4 bedrooms, and I would need to kind of stay under the 900 mark. Not sure where, what that's going to get me. So, beggars can't be choosers. I'd love to have this, but, reality might not, match that just based on my situation.
Totally understand. So you're saying 4 bedrooms. So I'm assuming you have some kids, I'm assuming, like you have a bigger family?
Yes. Yes, I do.
That's awesome. Well, I know that with like 4 bedrooms or even like a single or double car garages, I know that they're pretty expensive for rentals. And I think, like, if you don't mind me asking, if you're just getting into a new rental now, I'm sure that those property rentals are about 2,800 plus, eh?
Yeah, it's definitely. When we were looking at things, it seemed like it would be more feasible to purchase, but
for sure. So, is there any certain features that you want in your house, in your next house? Because I know you were saying that 4 bedrooms, kind of 3 bathrooms minimum or 2 bathrooms minimum, but is there any certain features that must-haves you want in your next house?
I need to have a little bit of a backyard. I do have some pets as well, so there needs to be somewhere for them to go. A basement would be nice because I have older kids, so somewhere where they can go. Right?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Those are kind of, it definitely has to have air conditioning, which I'm pretty sure is common these days with most properties, but just kind of more of an open kind of family, not too crowded or type, not, and I don't want one of those things, like if it has to be a town like that has like 4 levels, like I'm not into doing multiple stairs.
I'm not into that too. Yeah, I can't do the stairs. So it sounds like more move-in ready. So, I'm sorry that you didn't have the right guidance before, But the good news is, you know, we've connected and I have all the right tools and guidance and support for you to help you
Mhm.
get started, because paying $2,800 plus for rent,
Mhm.
you know, on
Mhm.
your mortgage, you can probably get the same or if not less. And now you're getting
Mhm.
the benefits of owner occupied and tax-free
Mhm.
savings.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set you up with my mortgage broker to give you a call first, because I think it's important to get the pre-approval.
Mhm.
Or you have two options. Do you want to meet us for coffee to get that done? Or would you want to have like a three-way call so I can introduce you to him, make sure you're the right fit so you're
Mhm.
comfortable moving forward? But what
Yeah.
I can tell you, Crystal, is that you have me and I'm going to take care
Yeah.
of you through this. And I'm excited to help you get through this process.
Okay, perfect. And then would your mortgage agent be able to tell me about like the interest rates and stuff? Because that's also a
100%.
big concern with why we're purchasing, or why we, also why we kind of postpone things a bit, was being rushed, and the fact that
Yes.
mortgage rates are kind of going all over the place.
Totally
And there's
understand.
that uncertainty. So is your person going to be able to help guide me with that
Yeah.
information?
Yeah, so we actually have two different options. If you want to feel comfortable to go at the branch that you bank with first, I think that's a great idea. So because they usually have an actual, I didn't know if you knew this, but they actually have another score of you,
Mhm.
like internally, which means that you get graded differently. And if you pay your bills and do all that stuff, they actually qualify you for a little bit higher, and it helps you out, which is great.
Okay.
The difference between a mortgage broker is that instead of going to different banks, right? They shop for you and they find you the best rate. So that saves you a little bit more time. But it's always great
Okay.
to start at your bank first to make
Mhm.
sure that you're good. But who do you bank with?
CIBC.
CIBC. Perfect. I have a rep there, Shelly. She can take care of you. And you can get that process started with her first if you want to feel more comfortable there. Or I can get you a mortgage broker who can work with you. But I have solutions for you. And the most important thing for me is not making you feel like you're rushed, not having support. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to take the time and I'm going to walk you through each step so you're not alone and you have the best support for yourself. Because ultimately, I'm excited for your family to move into your own house.
Perfect.
You know,
Awesome.
like doing something like that, and right
Mhm.
there and then, if you're talking like that, you're getting the deal done.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the reason why I went back, she told me her problem. The reason why I went back to asking what she's looking for is to motivate her again. Okay, I am looking for this. Okay, I love this. Like, and
Mhm.
then I throw in the mortgage person, because if you throw in the mortgage person when they're not hot, they're not going to receive it, right?
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
get them excited. Okay, I'm
Excited
ready to
again.
cash
Yeah.
out. I'm ready to
Yeah.
cash out. When you feel
Mhm.
like that cash out time is happening, mortgage broker.
Mhm.
And that's it. But
Awesome.
like finding out what her concerns were, not being rushed, like letting her
Yeah.
know, cradling that person, saying, no, I'm going to get you. I have a
Yeah.
solution, right?
Mhm.
Um, I'm going to share my screen quickly because this is essentially the newsletter that we send to our people. So on
Sure.
Agent Locator, we put them on our newsletter. So everything is branded with us. We have a photo of like, the girls, super, super important, catchy title. This may your coffee be as strong as this market, right? So now we're
Mhm.
talking about, the opportunity. So we have a photo here, a little bit of a blurbage there, Durham regions, price points, and then like showcasing the community, because I'm big into the community. So these are two local businesses that we love to do. Congratulations, because we had a contest. Our past client for leaving us a review in October for our
Mhm.
Thanksgiving pies. She won, so she was, we're sharing that with all our people.
Mhm.
Our listings. So here's our listings that we have. Here's our closings that we have. Some before and afters. Like, look, like you're like, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Our systems are so in point that like, look, they click homework. It's leading them to nosy neighbor,
Mhm.
right? Like
Mhm.
all these small things, calculator, back to our branded website, right?
Mhm.
Like all these things, Agent Locator gives you. You just need to learn how to package it. But
Yeah.
like if a lead just came on here and they just got the market stats, you best believe that they are entertained and they are staying on it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So if you don't have a
Absolutely.
newsletter, start basic. Don't worry about all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Just start
No.
basic.
Absolutely. And build it, right? You got to do one thing at a time.
Be consistent, and then design. Yes.
Mhm.
Remember,
Mhm.
I'm 8 years in this, guys.
Yeah.
Eight
Yeah.
years. I better be
It's
having systems that showcase, like,
yeah.
or else I shouldn't be
All
on this
right.
call.
Yeah. And Burgess, what you're going to want to do with that person is make sure you have a follow up of some sort in 6 months from now. Right. That would be a 6-month check-in, that guy, because he's on a 1-year lease. He just went into something. 6 months, you're checking in on him. And then from there, it's like every month and then gradually increasing, right? Because 6 months is when he's going to start probably looking a little bit more and starting to get ducks in a row. And depending on what rent is doing, some leases, some landlords, if all of a sudden the asking rate is higher, some landlords will let them get out of those leases sooner because they can get more money if they do.
Yes,
sooner.
exactly.
Right? So
That's exactly what I was going to say. So that's the script that I use. Hey, I am a landlord. So, hey, I'm a landlord. And let me tell you, if my tenant was upfront saying that they would leave sooner in their tenancy, I'm okay with that because I'm going to charge more rent. It's a win-win, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that's the great part. But I hope you all enjoyed our conversation. There was a lot of great tidbits here. If you have any more questions, feel free to follow me on Moretti Real Estate on Instagram and ask me questions. If you have any questions about database and how to be more efficient, that is a Crystal question. She will take care of you and make you the best productive person you can be.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Nick. Thanks, everyone who popped in here. I'm happy to see you all, and we'll see you all again in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye, guys.